My wife flirted with her coworker in front of me. When I called it out, she said, "If you're insecure, just leave." So I left. That night, I did something she never saw coming. Hey Reddit, my wife flirted with her coworker right in front of me, then gaslit me into thinking I was just being insecure. 3 weeks later, the truth came out, and I realized I should have trusted my gut. Grab your popcorn and enjoy the shit show. Name's Liam, 35 male. I married Fiona when I was 26. She was 24, fresh out of grad school, working her first job. I was a financial analyst, stable income, decent apartment, the kind of guy parents call a good catch. We dated 2 years, got engaged, did the whole church wedding thing. For the first few years, everything was fine. Not movie perfect, but solid. Looking back, I was exactly what she wanted. Someone reliable who wouldn't ask too many questions. Someone who'd pack her lunch on late work nights and believe every excuse. Someone safe. But lately, the signs have been there. For weeks. She started putting her phone face down on the counter. Started showering as soon as she got home instead of flopping on the couch. Started mentioning this guy Ronan from her marketing team constantly. When your wife mentions the same dude 15 times in 3 days, you notice. When she's suddenly working late every Tuesday and Thursday until 8 or 9, you definitely notice. But I didn't say anything. Figured she was just stressed about work. The barbecue was at her department head's place in North Phoenix. Fiona spent an hour getting ready, changed outfits twice, did full makeup. I threw on jeans and a polo. We drove separately because she said she might stay late to help clean up. We walked into the backyard around 2, and within 90 seconds, Fiona had zeroed in on Ronan. She made some excuse about saying hi to her team and basically speed walked straight to him. Ronan was exactly what you'd expect. Mid-30s, expensive haircut, the kind of guy who does CrossFit and makes sure you know it. He had that corporate smooth talker vibe, standing there with a drink in one hand, gesturing with the other, while telling some story about closing a big account. Fiona lit up when she saw him. She touched his arm within 5 seconds. I watched it unfold over the next 2 hours. Fiona laughing at everything Ronan said. Touching his forearm when she talked. Hand lingering too long. Leaning in close when he whispered something. That fake laugh she used to do when we first started dating. I tried joining the conversation 4 times. Each time, she interrupted me or changed the subject. When I mentioned checking out the food, she rolled her eyes like I was some annoying kid interrupting adult conversation. Then another colleague joined the circle. Fiona immediately introduced Ronan by name, mentioned his promotion, his territory expansion. Then she gestured at me and said, "And this is my husband. Not my name, not what I do, just my husband," like I was furniture. I walked away and grabbed a drink. Stood by the fence watching her act like a single woman. She was touching his shoulder now, laughing at something on his phone. The other colleagues had drifted away, probably picking up on the vibe. After another hour, I decided to test something. Walked back over and said I was thinking about heading home. Early start tomorrow, stuff to handle. She looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Why don't you grab another drink or go talk to someone else? I'd rather talk to my wife. That's when she stopped pretending. Look, I'm in the middle of a conversation here. If you're not comfortable with me being social, maybe you should examine why that bothers you so much. Ronan shifted uncomfortably. I'm comfortable with you being social, I said calmly. I'm not comfortable with you flirting. Fiona straightened up, crossed her arms. I'm not flirting. I'm networking. And if you can't handle that, the door's right there. She pointed toward the gate with a defiant smirk. I looked at the gate, then at her, then back at the gate. You know what? You're absolutely right. I pulled out my car keys and started walking. Behind me, she called out, "Wait, where are you going?" I didn't stop. Walked straight through that gate, got in my car, and drove away. In the rearview mirror, Fiona stood there with her mouth open while Ronan looked like he wanted to disappear. My phone started buzzing before I even hit the freeway. I could see the notifications lighting up on the passenger seat, but I didn't check them. I drove home. I grabbed a drink from the fridge, sat on the couch, and finally looked at my phone. 25 messages, all from Fiona. I scrolled through them in order. First few were defensive. What was that about? Everyone was asking where I went. This was so embarrassing. Then the tone shifted. Less anger, more panic. Please, can we just talk? Are you seriously not going to respond? I'm getting a ride home with Jess. I set my phone down and waited. Took about an hour before I heard her car pull up outside. The front door slammed hard enough that I heard the picture frames rattle. She stormed into the living room. What is wrong with you? I took a slow sip of my drink. Nothing's wrong with me. You told me the door was right there. I used it. That's not what I meant, and you know it. Really? Because it sounded pretty specific to me. You pointed at a door. Told me to use it if I couldn't handle watching you network. So I took your professional advice. She started pacing, said I'd humiliated her in front of her colleagues. Everyone kept asking where I went. She had to make up some story about me feeling sick. Why didn't you just tell them the truth? Because that makes me look like a terrible wife. I almost laughed. And spending 3 hours flirting with Ronan while your husband watches makes you look like what exactly? Her face flushed. I wasn't flirting. God, you're so insecure. I was networking, building professional relationships. Networking, I repeated. That's what we're calling it? Yes. And if you can't handle me talking to male colleagues without having a complete meltdown, that's a you problem, not a me problem. I stood up, walked to the kitchen. She followed, still talking about how I'd always been jealous, how I needed to work on myself, how healthy relationships required trust. Are you even listening to me? She snapped. I'm listening. You're saying that touching another man's arm every 30 seconds, laughing at everything he says, and introducing me as just my husband is professional networking. Her face was turning red. That's not... I didn't mean... And when I tried joining the conversation, you shut me down every single time. Her face went red. You're twisting everything. Am I? Because from where I was standing, it looked like you were embarrassed I even existed. That's ridiculous. Is it? Because when I called you out on your behavior, you literally gave me directions to the nearest exit. You know what your problem is? She said. You don't trust me. A healthy marriage requires trust. You're right. It does. But trust is earned, not demanded. So you don't trust me. I looked at her for a long moment. Should I? The question just sat there. She stared at me, and for the first time all evening, she didn't have a comeback. Then she turned and walked out of the kitchen. I heard her footsteps on the stairs, heard the bedroom door close. I slept in the guest room that night. The next morning started with my phone ringing at dawn. Fiona had activated the family defense squad overnight. Her sister Paula called. Voicemail. Her mom called. Voicemail. Then her sister again. I got dressed and headed downstairs. She was already in the kitchen, on the phone, using that fake concerned tone. I don't know what's gotten into him lately. He's been so controlling and jealous. Last night he made this huge scene just because I was talking to a colleague about work stuff. I poured myself coffee and leaned against the doorway. No, I wasn't flirting. You know me, I'm just friendly. But he acted like I was doing something terrible. She lowered her voice when she noticed me. Listen, I should go. Yeah, I think he might have some issues he needs to work through. She hung up and pivoted to me with forced brightness. Good morning, coffee's fresh. Thanks. So I was thinking, she began, maybe we should talk to someone. Work through some of these trust issues. These trust issues? Well, your trust issues. I think it would be good for you to talk to someone professional. I almost laughed. You want me to see someone because you flirted with another man? I want us to work on our communication. I heard you perfectly. You said the door was right there. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it and her face lit up. Oh, it's my mom. She's really worried about us. She answered before I could respond. Within seconds, she was in the living room repeating her version of events. Same script, same victim routine, same gaslighting about my supposed jealousy issues. I finished my coffee and headed to the garage. Started sorting through some tools, organizing the workbench. Gave me time to think. Fiona was already turning herself into the victim. Classic playbook. Get to the family first. Control the narrative. Make me the bad guy. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. Tom, her brother-in-law. Paula had called pretty upset. I gave him the short version. We had a disagreement about Fiona spending 3 hours flirting with some guy, then telling me to leave when I pointed it out. He paused. Paula had told him I got jealous because Fiona was networking. Is that the official story now? Tom tried diplomacy. Fiona could be a little outgoing, but she'd always been like that. It didn't mean anything. She was just one of those naturally friendly people. It means something to me. Maybe you could give her some slack here. She's really upset. The whole family's kind of freaking out. Tom, if Paula spent 3 hours at a party ignoring you, flirting with another man, and then told you the door was right there when you complained, what would you do? Longer pause. That's different. How? Because Fiona's just naturally friendly. Right. I hung up and went back to organizing tools. Started thinking about what came next. Because one thing was clear. This marriage was already falling apart. Fiona just didn't know it yet. 20 minutes later, Fiona's dad called. We needed to talk about what happened last night. Fiona had called pretty upset. Did she mention the part where she told me the door was right there? Pause. She'd said I was being unreasonable about her talking to a coworker. Interesting version. Here's another one. Your daughter spent 3 hours flirting with another man while ignoring her husband, then told him to leave when he objected. So he did. Longer pause. Look, I know Fiona. She's social. That's just who she is. Being social is one thing. What she did last night was something else. You sure you're not being a little sensitive here? Albert, if your wife spent 3 hours at a party touching another man's arm and acting like you didn't exist, would you think you were being sensitive? Even longer pause. No, I wouldn't. Then you understand where I'm coming from. I do. And between you and me, Fiona's mom has been on my case for years about me letting Fiona get away with too much. Might be that's catching up now. Appreciate the honesty. The rest of the day, I started making plans. The kind you don't announce until they're already done. Fiona came home around 6 with takeout, trying to act like nothing had happened. Asked about my day like everything was normal. I played along, ate dinner, watched some show she picked, went to bed, but I was already halfway out the door. She just couldn't see it yet. A few evenings later, she was waiting for me with a completely different energy. Gone was the defensive anger, replaced with something that looked like genuine regret. Can we talk? She asked softly. We're talking now. I sat down at the kitchen table. She sat across from me. Look, I messed up at the barbecue. I got caught up in the networking thing, and I didn't pay attention to how it looked or how it made you feel. That was wrong of me. I didn't respond, just watched her. And I definitely shouldn't have said that thing about the door. That was mean and dismissive, and you didn't deserve that. I'm sorry. I was still waiting for the catch. I've been thinking about it all week, and you were right. I was flirting. I didn't want to admit it because it made me feel guilty, but yeah, I was. And I'm sorry. I don't want to lose you over this. There it was. The perfect apology. Everything a relationship expert would tell you to do, which is exactly why I didn't buy it for a second. Okay, I said. She blinked. Okay? Yeah. Okay. That's it? What else do you want me to say? You apologized. I heard you. Okay. So we're good? Are we? I mean, I apologized. I admitted I was wrong. I'm saying I'll do better. And I'm saying okay. She sat back trying to read me. You don't believe me. I didn't say that. But you don't. I shrugged. You said what you needed to say. I acknowledged it. Not sure what else you're looking for here. I'm looking for us to move past this. What am I being forgiven for? You left me at a work event. After you told me to. So technically, I was following your instructions. Her eye twitched. She was getting frustrated. Fine, she said, voice harder now. If you don't want to accept my apology, that's on you. But I'm trying here, and you're being difficult. I accepted your apology. I want you to mean it when you accept it. How do you know I don't mean it? She stood up, frustration bleeding through. Because you're being sarcastic and weird about it. Weird how? Like this. Like you're playing some game. I leaned back. I'm not playing anything. You apologized. I said okay. She stared at me, then walked out. I heard her go upstairs, heard the bedroom door close. Over the next week, Fiona kept up the apologetic wife routine. Made my favorite dinners, didn't start fights, even suggested we take a weekend trip to Sedona to reconnect. She started being extra affectionate, touching my arm when she talked, laughing at my jokes again. The whole performance was textbook. But I'd learned something valuable. Once you see how the trick works, you can't unsee it. So I did what any smart person does when they're pretty sure their marriage is over. I started moving money. Not all at once. But our joint account had about $47,000 in it. I started transferring $3,000 here, $2,500 there, into a personal account she didn't have access to. Documented every transfer in a spreadsheet. Kept receipts. Made sure everything was trackable and legal. Within 2 weeks, I'd quietly moved $28,000. Left enough in the joint account to cover bills. Fiona never checked the balance anyway. She'd log into our account maybe once a month, glance at the total, and move on. I also made copies of everything. Bank statements, mortgage documents, car titles, insurance policies. Stored them at my brother's place. Started a timeline document tracking every suspicious behavior going back to June. Times she came home late. Excuses she gave. Changes in her routine. And then, on a Tuesday afternoon, 3 weeks after the barbecue, I got an email that changed everything. Subject line: about your wife and my husband. The email showed up at 2:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. Sender: Ciara Carver. Ronan Carver. The guy from the barbecue. I opened it. She didn't know if I knew who she was, but she was married to Ronan from my wife's marketing department. She'd found something on her husband's iPad last night that I needed to see. Said it wasn't easy for her to send. Probably wouldn't be easy for me to read, but I deserved to know the truth. Ended with her phone number. I called. She answered on the first ring. Is this Fiona's husband? Yeah, Liam. What's going on? I'm Ciara, Ronan's wife, or I guess soon-to-be ex-wife. Her voice was steady, but there was an edge to it. I'm going to text you some screenshots. Okay. Look at them. All of them. Then call me back. She hung up. My phone buzzed 5 seconds later. I opened the first image. Text message screenshot. Fiona's phone number at the top. Message to Ronan, dated August 10th, exactly 1 week before the barbecue. Last night was incredible. Can't stop thinking about it. You make me feel things I haven't felt in years. Ronan's response, same here. When can we make it happen again? This weekend? Fiona, Friday works. Same place? I'll tell him I'm working late on the campaign. My hands started shaking. I scrolled to the next screenshot. Ronan, does your husband suspect anything? Fiona, he's been a little weird lately, asking more questions, but he's too passive to actually do anything about it. I've got him trained LOL. I kept scrolling. More messages, getting progressively more explicit. Plans for meetups. A hotel in Scottsdale. Fiona complaining about how boring I was. Ronan saying his wife was clueless. Both of them laughing about how easy it was to hide. One message stood out. Fiona had written, he asked me yesterday if everything was okay. I told him he was being paranoid and needed to trust me more. He actually apologized. LOL. Ronan's response, man's a doormat. My wife would have kicked me out by now. Fiona, that's why I married someone safe. He'll never leave. The timestamps went back 3 months. June through August, every Tuesday and Thursday. Those late nights she said she was working on the campaign. Every single one of them. I'd even packed her lunch a few times on those days. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. Then I felt this cold rage boiling inside of me. I called Ciara back. You saw them? She asked. Yeah. I'm sorry. I know this is a lot. How'd you find these? She explained Ronan leaves his iPad on the kitchen counter. Last night she was looking up a recipe and his messages app was still open. Saw Fiona's name. Saw the preview of a message that was pretty clearly not about work. So she read them. Does he know you found out? Oh yeah. I confronted him last night. He tried to lie at first, then admitted it, then tried to make it seem like it wasn't that serious. And Fiona? I have no idea if she knows. Ronan swore he'd end it, begged me not to tell you. I told him I was telling you anyway because you deserve to know who you're married to. Appreciate that. I'm filing for divorce today. Already have a lawyer lined up. Thought you should have all this evidence before you make any decisions. We talked for another 30 minutes. She sent me everything. Complete message threads, photos they'd sent each other, even a voicemail. She'd already compiled it all into a folder, organized by date. Said she'd spent the whole night doing it after Ronan fell asleep. After we hung up, I sat in my car in the parking garage for 40 minutes. Just sat there, staring at my phone, scrolling through the messages again. It was all real. The numbers matched, the details matched. The timeline matched everything I'd noticed. Fiona's distance, her secrecy, her defensiveness. Now I knew exactly what I had to do. I drove straight to a lawyer's office, found one with good reviews, called and explained I needed an emergency consultation about divorce. The receptionist squeezed me in at 5. The lawyer's name was Hugo. Mid-50s, sharp suit, corner office with a view. He listened to my story without interrupting, looked at the evidence, and nodded. Arizona's a no-fault divorce state, he said, which means infidelity doesn't technically affect the divorce itself, but it does affect how assets get divided, and it absolutely affects public perception. I want to file immediately, I said, and I want her served at work. His eyebrow went up. At work? She humiliated me at her company barbecue. I want to return the favor. He leaned back, studying me. Serving someone at their workplace is legal, but it's aggressive. If that's the message you want to send, I can make it happen. We spent 3 hours going over everything. Joint accounts, the house, our cars, retirement funds. I showed him the spreadsheet of money I'd moved. He approved. Smart thinking. How fast can we file? I can have papers ready by Thursday. Process server can deliver them Thursday afternoon if that works. Thursday works. Afternoon, around 3. Any particular reason for the timing? That's when her department has their weekly team meeting. Everyone sits in the conference room. She'll be right in the middle when she gets handed the papers. He smiled. You know what? I like you. Let's make this happen. I left his office with a plan. Spent Tuesday and Wednesday evenings acting completely normal at home. Fiona was still playing the apologetic wife. Cooked dinner both nights. Asked about my day. Acted like everything was fine. I played along. Responded normally. Watched shows with her. Even laughed at something she said. The whole time I knew the clock was ticking. Wednesday night, she tried initiating. I said I was tired. She seemed disappointed but didn't push it. Went to bed around 11. I stayed up until 2 organizing more documents. Thursday morning, I left for work at 7:30. Fiona was still asleep. I didn't wake her. Thursday afternoon at 2:40 p.m., I got a text from the process server. Package delivered. Target looked like she'd seen a ghost. I was sitting in a coffee shop 3 blocks from my office waiting for that text. My phone started ringing at 3 p.m. Fiona. I watched it buzz and sent it to voicemail. She called again after a few minutes. Voicemail. By 3:30, I had 11 missed calls and 7 voicemails. I listened to them in order. First one, Liam, what did you do? What is this? Call me back right now. Then, I can't believe you did this. At work, in front of everyone. Everyone saw that guy hand me papers. My boss pulled me into her office. We need to talk about this like adults. This is insane. Please just call me back. We can fix this. I know you're angry, but this is too far. Finally. Fine. Don't call. But you're making a huge mistake. I didn't call back. Instead, I texted, your stuff will be on the porch by Sunday. Locks are getting changed tomorrow. My phone immediately rang. I declined it. Then the texts started flooding in. I put my phone on silent and ordered another coffee. By the time I left, she'd sent 43 texts and called 19 times. When I got home around 6, Fiona's car was in the driveway. The house key I'd given her brother-in-law to change the locks was sitting on the front step with a note. All done. New keys in the mailbox? I grabbed the new keys and went inside. She was sitting on the couch, eyes red and puffy, mascara smudged. She stood up when she saw me. We need to talk. No, we don't. You need to leave. This is my house too. Not anymore. Lawyer filed a motion for exclusive use. You'll get your half when we settle. Until then, you're trespassing. Her mouth fell open. You can't do that. Already did. You've got 5 minutes to grab whatever you need for tonight. Everything else goes on the porch Sunday, like I said. Liam, please. No. Get your stuff. Leave your key. Go. She stood there staring at me. I made a mistake, she finally said. A huge, terrible mistake. But we can work through this. People do it all the time. You slept with him for 3 months. You lied to my face. You said I was boring. You laughed about how easy it was to hide. Then you told me to leave when I caught you flirting with him. There's nothing to work through. Her face went pale. Who told you that? Doesn't matter. What matters is, I know everything. Hotels, dates, texts, all of it. So you can drop the performance. She started crying. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. 4 minutes. Liam, 4 minutes to get your stuff. Then I'm calling the police. She grabbed her purse and walked toward the stairs. She came back down 10 minutes later with an overnight bag and her work laptop. She stopped at the door. I love you. I know you don't believe me right now. But I do. And I'm going to fight for us. The papers are already filed. There's always a chance to fix things. You had a chance to not cheat. You had a chance to not lie. You blew all of them. Now get the heck out of here. She sat in her car for 15 minutes crying. Eventually, she started the engine and drove away. My phone rang 30 seconds later. Paula, I answered. What did you do? She shrieked. Filed for divorce. Fiona cheated for 3 months. Anything else? You served her at work? In front of everyone? That's cruel. You know what's cruel? Sleeping with a coworker while your husband thinks you're working late? Gaslighting him when he notices something's wrong. That's cruel. You're being vindictive. She humiliated me first. I'm just returning the favor. Fiona's devastated. Good. Paula was quiet. You're really going to regret this. The only thing I regret is not walking out sooner. Tell Fiona to have her lawyer contact mine. And tell her not to come back to the house. I hung up and blocked her number. My phone kept buzzing for the rest of the night. I ignored all of them. Ordered takeout, watched a game, went to bed around 11. Best sleep I'd had in months. By Friday morning, the fallout was spreading through Fiona's company like wildfire. I heard through a mutual friend. Kiara had filed for divorce from Ronan the same day Fiona got served, and both of them getting handed papers at work had caused exactly the chaos you'd expect. Their department head called an emergency meeting with Ronan, Fiona, and HR. Ronan got put on immediate administrative leave. Fiona kept her job, but only because the affair happened outside of work hours. The optics were still terrible. Word spread fast. By Friday afternoon, everyone in the company knew. Fiona had gone from rising star to that woman who slept with her married coworker. My phone had 53 missed calls when I turned it back on Friday morning. Most from Fiona. A few from her family. One from a number I didn't recognize that turned out to be Fiona's boss. asking me to please not discuss the situation publicly. The only call I returned was Albert's. You filed? He asked. Yeah. Can't say I blame you. Fiona called last night around midnight crying. Then Paula called this morning. I'm guessing the truth is somewhere in the middle but closer to your side. She cheated for 3 months. I have text messages proving it. He sighed deeply. Her mother's been defending her all week. This is going to destroy her when she finds out the truth. Not my circus anymore. Fair enough. For what it's worth, I'm not going to give you grief about this. My daughter made her choices. Now she gets to live with them. Appreciate that. Around noon, I got a text from Sierra with an update. Ronan got fired that morning. HR decided the optics were too bad. Fiona's employment might be next. I texted back, thanks for the update. She's not my wife anymore, just for the record. Good for you. I'm keeping the house and the dog. Ronan's moving into some apartment. He tried calling me last night to explain things. I blocked him. Also, apparently Fiona's been calling him nonstop. He's not answering her either. They're both spiraling, and honestly, it's kind of satisfying to watch. Saturday afternoon, Fiona showed up at the house again. I saw her car pull up. She knocked. I opened the door but kept the security chain latched. She looked terrible. The put-together look was completely gone. Liam, can we please talk? Nope. There's everything to talk about. You can't just end 6 years like this. Already did. I know I messed up, but people work through affairs all the time. We can go to counseling, rebuild trust. No. But I was scared. I'm human. I made a mistake, and I'm begging you to give me another chance. No, Fiona. Her face crumpled. I'll do anything. I'll quit my job. We can move. I'll cut off all contact with Ronan. Whatever you want. We're done here. Don't do this. Please. You did this. This is all on you. I closed the door and walked away. She stayed on the porch crying for another 20 minutes before finally leaving. Sunday morning, Fiona's stuff went out on the porch exactly like I'd said. Her clothes, her shoes, framed photos, kitchen stuff, all in boxes. She showed up around 10 with Paula. I watched from the window as they loaded everything into Paula's SUV. Fiona kept glancing at the house like she was hoping I'd come out. I didn't. On the last trip, Fiona walked up and knocked. I didn't answer. She tried the new key I'd left in one of the boxes, the one that didn't work. I heard her swear. Liam, she called through the door. Please open the door. I stayed silent. Paula said something I couldn't make out. Fiona responded with something angry. Then footsteps, car doors, engine starting, driving away. I waited 5 minutes, then opened the door. All the boxes were gone except one. I brought it inside and opened it. Wedding photos. Her wedding dress. Anniversary cards. A framed photo from our honeymoon. All the sentimental stuff. I threw it all in the dumpster. Didn't feel bad about it. The divorce moved faster than I expected. Fiona's lawyer tried delaying tactics right out of the gate, arguing we should attempt mediation. Said both parties needed time to cool off and think rationally. My lawyer shut that down in one email. Attached the text message evidence, the hotel receipts, the timeline. My client has no interest in mediating with someone who conducted a 3-month affair. We'll see you in court. Fiona's lawyer stopped pushing for mediation after that. The first hearing was 2 weeks after filing. Standard preliminary stuff. Fiona showed up with her lawyer. She tried to make eye contact. I looked through her like she was glass. Her lawyer argued I'd acted impulsively by moving money. My lawyer produced the spreadsheet showing every transfer documented. The judge ruled it was reasonable asset protection. We split the house equity 50-50. Split the retirement accounts. Split everything down the middle because that's how no-fault divorce works. The only victory I really cared about was keeping the $28,000 I'd moved. That felt like justice. The whole process took 4 months start to finish. Ronan got fired 3 weeks after getting served. Fiona kept her job, but it came at a cost. She was basically radioactive in the office. Nobody wanted to partner with her on projects. Nobody invited her to team lunches. People who used to be friendly suddenly had meetings to attend. I heard through a former colleague of hers that she'd tried damage control, told people it was a misunderstanding, that I'd overreacted, that the divorce was mutual. But Kiara had already told her side to a few people, and those screenshots made their way around. Hard to spin 3 months of hotel meetups as a misunderstanding. She tried transferring to a different department, got denied. So she stuck it out, showing up every day to an office where everyone knew exactly what she'd done. 4 months after I filed, the divorce was finalized. I got the notification via email. It's done. You're officially divorced. Congratulations on your fresh start. I took myself out for a nice dinner that night. Steak, sat at the bar, and watched a basketball game. First time in months I felt like I could actually breathe. 2 weeks later, on a Thursday evening around 7, someone knocked on my apartment door. I'd moved downtown, found a one-bedroom with floor-to-ceiling windows. Fresh start, new space, no memories. I looked through the peephole and saw Fiona. For a second, I considered not answering, but I opened the door. Didn't invite her in. What do you want? She looked different. Thinner, tired, older somehow. The confident woman from the barbecue was long gone. I wanted to see you. To talk. Divorce is final. We're done. I know, I'm not here to change that. I just needed to say some things. Can I come in? Just for 5 minutes? Against my better judgment, I stepped aside. She walked into my living room and looked around. Nice place, she said quietly. She turned to face me. I miss you. I didn't respond. Just waited. I know you probably don't believe me, but I do. I miss you. I miss us. I miss what we had before I ruined everything. Had a funny way of showing it. She flinched. I messed up, I know that. I destroyed the best thing in my life because I was selfish and stupid. I've spent the last 4 months thinking about it every single day. Good for you. I lost my job, she said suddenly. Or I'm about to. They're downsizing the marketing department, and I'm first on the list. Everyone knows it's because of what happened. Not my problem. I know. I'm not asking you to fix it. I'm just telling you because I want you to understand that I've paid for what I did. Everything fell apart. Everything fell apart because you made it fall apart. I know. Her eyes were welling up. And I'm not asking you to feel sorry for me, but I am asking if there's any chance we could try again. Start over. I've learned my lesson, Liam. I've changed. I looked at her for a long moment. No, I said simply. You didn't just cheat on me, Fiona. The worst part is that you gaslit me when I noticed something was wrong. You made me think I was paranoid and jealous when I was actually right about everything. I was scared and defensive. And you showed me exactly who you are when you're scared. I didn't mean. You meant it. You wanted me gone so you could keep playing both sides. But I called your bluff and used that door. And now you're dealing with the consequences. She was crying now. I'm sorry. I would give anything to take it all back. You're sorry you got caught. Sorry there were consequences. But that doesn't change what you did. And it doesn't make me want you back. That's not fair. I walked to my front door and opened it. You told me the door was right there, remember? Well, here it is again. Use it. She stood there, tears running down her face, not moving. Leave. Now. She walked slowly to the door, stopped in the doorway, turned back. I love you. I know you don't believe me, but no, you don't. You love the idea of not being alone. So you can take your love and your apologies and get out of my life. She opened her mouth to say something else, but I'd already started closing the door. Watched through the peephole as she stood in the hallway for a full 2 minutes, crying, before finally walking away. That was 4 months ago. Haven't heard from her since. Heard through mutual friends that she did lose her job, moved to Denver to stay with a college friend, and started over completely. Apparently, she tried reaching out to Ronan once. He blocked her immediately. Both of them burned their lives down for a 3-month fling that wasn't even good enough to fight for afterward. Good for her. I genuinely hope she figures out her life. Just glad it's not my problem anymore. Me? I'm doing better than fine. I sold my half of the old house and bought a small place in Scottsdale. 2 bedrooms, nice yard, pool. Got a dog, a rescue mutt who's terrible at fetch but great at just existing peacefully on the couch. Life's good now. Quiet and peaceful. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.